Night over the Caribbean feels different than night anywhere else. The water is warm, restless, alive. And cutting through that darkness is a shape that should not be here, a 1,000-foot giant of steel, glowing faintly under red deck lights. The USS Gerald R. Ford, America's most advanced and expensive aircraft carrier, drifting silently in waters usually reserved for cruise ships and fishermen. But this time, the Caribbean is not calm. Not politically. Not strategically. And definitely not for the men and women aboard this massive ship. In the last few weeks, the world watched with raised eyebrows as the U.S. Navy moved not one, but an entire strike group, destroyers, supply ships, aircraft, thousands of sailors, into a region many assumed was low priority. But nothing about this mission is routine. Nothing about this moment is normal. This is a deployment shaped by pressure, tension, and a world shifting faster than old strategies can keep up. The Navy calls it enhanced maritime presence. Analysts call it a warning. Locals call it strange. But ask the sailors aboard, and they'll tell you it feels like something else entirely, the calm before something important. Maybe something dangerous. Maybe something historic. At dawn, the carrier's flight deck wakes before the sun does. Steam erupts from the catapults, yellow-shirt crews sprint across the deck, and a Super Hornet roars into the sky, carving a violent line through the humid air. To most people, it's just another jet. But here, in these waters, that jet is a message to smugglers, militias, rival states, and anyone watching from satellite feeds. We are here now. We are watching everything. The Caribbean has long been a highway for illegal trafficking, drugs, weapons, even shadow ships designed to slip beneath radar. But recently the game changed. Networks adapted, routes shifted, and intelligence hinted at something bigger, a coordinated effort to move dangerous cargo across maritime lanes, exploiting regional instability and weak coastal patrols. The United States could not ignore it. So they sent the Ford. Some people criticized the decision. Why use a $13 billion supercarrier, the most powerful naval asset on the planet, to chase smugglers? But that question misunderstands the moment. The Navy knows the world doesn't fight like it used to. Conflicts don't always start with missiles. Sometimes they start with criminal networks. With money. With influence. With small boats carrying big consequences. And a carrier brings something no patrol craft can: eyes everywhere. Radar that sees across the horizon. Aircraft that chase anything trying to slip away. Helicopters that drop boarding teams onto suspicious vessels. Intelligence units capable of piecing together clues in real time. Above all, presence. A presence that changes behavior before a single shot is fired. Inside the command center, sailors monitor screens glowing in shades of blue and red. Dots move, lines shift, signals pulse. Every blip could be nothing, or everything. A go-fast boat racing through the night. A fishing vessel sitting idle a little too long. A cargo ship turning off its transponder. Every decision here carries weight. Identify wrong, and a criminal slips away. Identify too aggressively, and the Navy risks sparking a diplomatic incident. These sailors are young, some barely older than 19, yet they operate the most advanced systems on Earth. They stand watch for hours, nerves tight, eyes burning, hands steady. Not because a battle is happening, but because one might happen at any moment, even if it looks nothing like a Hollywood war. On the lower decks, the ship feels like a small town, narrow hallways, metal ladders, the constant hum of engines. Sailors eat in crowded mess halls, laugh with friends, write messages home, and try to sleep through the endless vibration of machinery. But beneath the routine lies tension. The feeling that this mission matters in a way that goes beyond headlines and official statements. Because this deployment isn't just about smugglers. It's about proving the Navy can adapt. It's about showing rivals that American carriers can appear anywhere, not just in the Indo-Pacific or the Middle East. It's about reassuring allies and unsettling adversaries. And it comes at a time when the Navy is stretched thin, facing shipyard delays, budget fights, and a rapidly expanding Chinese fleet. The Caribbean, of all places, has suddenly become a stage for global competition. Late one night, as most of the crew sleeps, a radar operator sees something unusual. A low-profile boat moving fast, without lights, hugging the edges of the radar picture. She calls it out. Officers gather. A hello crew is scrambled. Within minutes, a Seahawk helicopter cuts through the darkness, skimming low over the ocean. They find the vessel, sleek, narrow, designed to disappear into the waves. The kind used for smuggling high-value cargo. The crew aboard the small boat doesn't expect a helicopter. They definitely don't expect a carrier strike group. The confrontation is brief, non-violent, but symbolic. It's a reminder that even in peaceful waters, even in the quiet hours, someone is always watching. And that someone is prepared. Back on the Ford, the operation becomes another quiet success, one among many that never make the evening news. But for the crew, it reinforces a truth they've felt since arriving: this mission is not a show of force. It's a test of readiness. A test of strategy. A test of what the Navy must become. As the days pass, the deployment continues with constant tension, not explosive, but persistent. Jets fly patrols. Ships scan the sea. Intelligence analysts sift through signals. The carrier drifts, anchors, maneuvers, always ready to respond. And slowly, the presence begins to work. Smuggling routes shift. Suspicious activity drops. Regional partners become more alert. And word spreads: the United States is watching the Caribbean again. Not with drones. Not with patrol boats. But with a supercarrier and everything it brings. Yet the cost of that presence is carried by the sailors. By the deck crew sweating under brutal heat. By the pilots who fly until exhaustion blurs vision. By the officers who make decisions with geopolitical consequences. By the cooks who feed thousands. By the mechanics who keep engines alive. By the families back home who wait for messages delivered at odd hours from a ship that rarely sleeps. This is the human side of naval power, the part that doesn't fit into strategy reports or press releases. The part that matters most. One evening, during sunset, a young sailor stands on the deck after a long shift. The sky burns orange. The ship feels almost peaceful. And she thinks about why she joined, why she left home, why she now stands on a floating city in the middle of the Caribbean at a moment when no one can say what tomorrow will bring. Her answer is simple: because someone has to. Someone has to watch the oceans. Someone has to keep threats far from home. Someone has to stand in the places where risk and duty meet. And sometimes that place is not a battlefield. Sometimes it is a warm sea, beneath a quiet sky, during a mission most people will never hear about. Weeks later, as the Ford prepares to shift positions, analysts note that tensions in the region have cooled slightly. Smuggling operations have slowed. Regional partners have increased patrols. Nothing dramatic, just subtle shifts. The kind of changes that happen when a massive ship silently moves across the map. And that is what this mission was always about: quiet power. Precise presence. Influence without escalation. The kind of strength that doesn't need noise to make an impact. As the carrier's lights fade into the horizon, one thing becomes clear. The Navy isn't just preparing for the next big war. It's preparing for the world as it is now: complicated, unpredictable, full of threats that hide rather than confront. And in that world, vigilance matters more than ever. The Caribbean returns to darkness. The waves settle. The Ford keeps moving. And the watch continues, because at sea, the watch never truly ends.